everybody. Welcome to our second candidate conversation, and we appreciate you all coming. We had the first one in September, and we had all 6 candidates. This time we have 4 candidates, and Matt Beard, who is our moderator, is going to introduce them. And just want to say that it seems like we're dealing with a little bit of sickness tonight, because we had Wendy Hudler, who is our moderator, and she has COVID now. And John Manoni stepped in for her, and he's not feeling well today. So you all may want to social distance as much as you want. All right, what is a candidate conversation? First, we're going to talk about the community gatherings. We've been doing community gatherings. This is our 9th or 10th one? 9th one. And if you want to move that, Caleb, please. Our mission statement is very simple. Our mission for the community gatherings is to inform, educate, and engage town residents to work together to make Clifton Forge a better place to live, work, and play. And we've had some great meetings, and we've had a lot of information that has been passed along. So we encourage you to continue to come to our community gatherings. Our next ones, they do meet once a month, third Thursday, 6:30 to 8 o'clock p.m. And always bring a neighbor. It's always good to bring a friend or a neighbor. So our next slide gives our introduction to the sponsorship, which is Main Street. And tonight we are working, and we always try to work in conjunction with the town of Clifton Forge. So November 17th, the context of the meeting is what are interjections. So don't anybody look it up, just come to the meeting. We are going to have an open table discussion, and we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. Chuck Unroe is going to provide another wonderful update. He lets us know what's happening with the town, and it's been extremely informative. And he has agreed to do this as many times as we want him to do it, so we're really thankful for that. And then we're going to meet Brad Church, who is the new code enforcer, and he's going to speak a little bit as well. And then in December, we're going to take the month off, and in January 19th, we're going to have updates, but they're going to be very specific, special updates to the town. And we'll go to the next slide. So this is an example of our August community gathering. It was an open table discussion. Each table had a problem, and they had a time limit in which to solve that problem. And they met together for about 20 minutes and then gave a little summary at the end. Kayla, would you do the next one? The conversation level kept getting louder and louder and louder. People were very enthusiastic about what they were talking about. It was really a good evening. I think most people would agree. I think it was our best community gathering yet, until our candidates came. So we're going to be doing that again in November. And then one more slide, I think. And then there's Chuck doing the update. So without any further ado, we're going to go ahead to our candidate conversation. And like I said, we really appreciate you coming. I think the advantage of having a second conversation is to clarify some of the statements that were made in the first conversation. We did get questions from people this time around, specifically addressing some of the statements that were made at the last conversation. So Matt Beard is our moderator, and Bill Atherholt is our timer. And everybody enjoy.
Good evening. We want to welcome you to our October Community Gathering Candidate Conversation sponsored by Clifton Forge Main Street. We have 4 candidates this evening. 6 candidates are running for 3 open council seats on the Clifton Forge Town Council. I will introduce them left to right. Jeremy Bastain, Courtney Howard, Dale Burdett.
Who's Dale? That's 4th.
Oh, Debbie Ladamel and Dale Burdett. We'd ask that everyone turn off their cell phones and put them away so we can have an even better conversation. We have a number of questions that have been submitted prior to this evening, some of which were asked for the September conversation that we didn't have time for. The goal of our candidate conversation is to provide information about you and your thoughts so that Clifton Forge voters will be better informed when go to the polls to vote. We have a selection of questions that we will ask you, either all of you with the same question or a specific question for a specific candidate. We have questions that may ask 2 or 3 points. We will not have follow-up questions during the hour you are on stage, but when we are done with this part of our conversation, we will invite the candidates to leave the stage and go into the audience for continued informal conversation with attendees. On stage, you will each have 2 minutes to respond to the question. We will enforce that time limit. When you have 30 seconds left on your 2 minutes, Bill will hold up a card for you to see, and you may quickly complete your sentence. I ask the audience to remain respectful, to listen carefully, and to refrain from excessive exuberance for or against a particular candidate. I ask the candidate to focus on what you believe. The purpose of this conversation is to present your own position. We'll begin with an introduction from each candidate that should last no longer than 1 minute. Our question is, why will you make a good council member for the town of Clifton Forge? You may elaborate further on your answer from the September conversation. So we're going to go down the line, and we're going to ask you to introduce yourself and tell us why you would be a good council member. Start with Jeremy.
Hi, I'm Jeremy Bashton. I believe I'll be a great council member because I actually, the way my life is set up right now with my investments and things like that, I actually will benefit if the people of Clifton Forge will benefit. Like I told you before, I own a few properties. I would like to get a lot of rent for them, and I understand that to get higher rents, that's what I need, better opportunities for the people here. Like I said before, my kids play on the street, so every policy that I make, it needs to be, I need to have my family in mind and your family in mind. That's about it. So we go.
Courtney.
Hello, I'm Courtney Fridley Howard. I believe I would be a good candidate for town council because when I moved here, I made the conscious decision to start involving myself in town business. I've been trying to make sure that the Parks and Trails Committee is moving forward with the Sensory Trail project and with the All Abilities Park project. I've been working with Allegheny Corps, I've been an election worker, I've been putting in the time and the effort to try to make sure that our town is moving forward with progress. I have 2 small children, and I want them to grow up here happy and healthy, and I want them to never want to leave here. I want them to stay and want to be near mama for the rest of their lives. I want them to have good prospects for jobs and good, social lives, maybe find somebody that they love here and stay here, be happy here like we are.
Hi, I'm Debbie Laudermilk. I'm currently on town council. And I believe I'd continue to be a good council member because I come from a pretty vast background in public service. I moved to Clifton Forge permanently in April of 2017 when I retired from Virginia State Parks. I have worked for the town of Farmville as a recreation director. I worked for Prince Edward County as a recreation recycling coordinator. I've worked for state government. I've worked for federal government. I was in the Navy for 4 years. And I've also worked for private nonprofit organizations, and I just have a pretty good experience in public service. I'd like to bring the experience that I have obtained over the last 40 years to Clifton Forge to help us move forward.
Good evening, my name is Dale Burdett. I'm a lifelong resident of Clifton Forge, and I love Clifton Forge. Is why I continue to choose to live here, and why I moved back here after college. I think my background lends me a lot of experience that can be used for the town of Clifton Forge. I think Clifton Forge, like many towns across America, are facing some unique challenges as we work out of the pandemic. It's a new environment. I think you as a voter should vote for the person that you think understand the challenges that we face and know how to address those. I think I'm that person, and if you share the same vision as me, I ask for you to vote for me come November 8th.
Thank you. So now we'll go to the candidate questions. And to begin with, having two candidate conversations allows members of the audience to question or clarify statements that were made by candidates in the first conversation. Several questions were asked after the September candidate conversation to clarify points made during that event. However, we'll begin with the questions submitted in September that we did not get to. So our first question. This is the 9th community gathering. We have gathered much information from the residents who want to see Clifton Forge become a better place for residents. Have you attended gatherings and have you made notes? What, as a council member, will you do with the information you gathered? We'll start with Jeremy.
With the information I gathered, pretty much I'll put the people first. I mean, I'll let you know that, I heard your complaints, I understand them, and I would always do what's best for the majority of the people. I've been to a few of the community gatherings before we had this, and as I said, I hear your complaints, and every policy that I make, I would always make sure I keep the majority of people in mind. Thanks.
I believe I attended all but the first meeting, maybe the first 2 meetings. I'm not sure if there was 1 or 2 before I started attending, but I've been to all of them since. And I believe with what we've seen, we have learned a lot of information about how other towns have brought themselves forward and, dug themselves out of maybe, like, we were a railroad town. We were starting to be on the decline. Some of these towns were on the decline, and then they figured out a way to build themselves back up. And I believe there's a lot of really good information that we've been presented with by the candidate conversations, and I believe that there's been a lot of really good information that's come in from citizens that have attended. A lot of the complaints are being handled really well by the town. We're getting, a new code enforcer. We're getting a lot of good progress from these events. I think that there's a lot more that we can do with it. I think that we can work together to build more community events, that we can, worry about what our neighbors need from us a little bit more. I think as long as we work together and we really focus on what we can do better, I think we'll move forward like a lot of the towns that have been presented in the community events that we've seen so far.
I have attended probably most of the community events, and I absolutely love them. Being on town council, I think it is a perfect opportunity to actually speak to people on a more casual level instead of doing it just at a council meeting where everything is so formalized and you are given, depending on how many people are signed up to speak, you're given 3 to 5 minutes, and it's just very structured and very formalized. Whereas the community gatherings, we're able to actually have conversations with people and hear them speak from their heart instead of standing up in front of us and in front of a microphone and a lot of people, a nervous wreck. I absolutely think they're beneficial. I thoroughly enjoy attending them. They stay on my calendar. And I'm so sorry I missed the last one of these, but I'm really glad to be here tonight.
I too have attended most of the community gatherings, and I think they're very useful for our community. I think there's an environment, not just in Clifton, but everywhere, where not everyone thinks they are a part of government or a part of governing their town. So I think that's a big issue that we have to address. We have to find continuous ways to increase the frequency of citizen engagement. And the community gatherings are a great way to do that. With the advent of social media and technology, it's easier to stay connected with the people, but there's nothing like being at an event and hearing it firsthand and the things that are facing our community.
Good. Now, at the September candidate conversation, Clifton Forge is referred to as a retirement town. Do you agree with that assessment? And if not, how would you define Clifton Forge? And we'll start with Courtney.
So I don't believe that Clifton Forge has to box itself in and call ourselves one thing, like a retirement town or a college town or, you know, any specific thing. I think that we're a town for everyone. I think that, yes, people want to come back here to retire. It's a great place to retire. It's a great place to raise kids. It's a great place to be, you know, a teenager or to come for college. But it's just for everyone. We have to have a mix of ages and different types of people. You can't run a town with just one group of people. You can't have just an aging community. You can't have just young people. You need everyone, and you need everyone to be able to work together and take care of one another. So I think, you know, it's a beautiful town. It's an outdoor, scenic, lovely place, but I don't think we have to just label it one specific thing when there's so much for everyone to do here.
I agree with Courtney. We are absolutely not a retirement town. We have so much to offer in Clifton Forge, and between the theater, the outdoors, the arts, we just have so much here for everyone, not for any one population. And as on town council, it's our goal to continue to expand those opportunities, to continue to bring people to our town, both permanently and to visit. And like you said, to keep people here. But no, I do not believe we are a retirement community.
I'll agree that I think that we're not just a retirement community. Is it a great place to retire? Absolutely. And I think it should continue to be so. And I think that is a certain demographic that we need to, you know, consider when we're making decisions. There is a good amount of retired individuals that live in our town. But I think it's not beneficial just to hang your hat on one thing. And I agree that I think we need to diversify our strengths and continue to market Clifton Forge for all the great things that we offer.
I don't think we'll be a retirement community. We look around, our infrastructure is too run down, too old. I hear that maybe we can be a college town. I don't think we can be a college town either. We don't have enough bars and alcohol in this town. I think what we could be is a town of family. That's what I really want to focus on. I want people to come here, look to start up a family, get a nice job, and get away from the city life. That's pretty much what I want the town to be, where kids playing in the street. Doesn't mean that I'm going to forget about all of the elderly people here. I mean, you know, they have a place too. I mean, if you guys see the sign, everyone has a place, and we're gonna need everybody to come together to make this thing work. But I really want to focus on families, because right now I don't want to diversify too much, because then I feel like nothing's going to get done. So I will really want to focus on bringing the families back to Clifton Forge.
Thank you. So, where are your favorite places to spend time in Clifton Forge? We'll start with Debbie.
Well, I think probably most of you know I am the head brewer at Jack Mason's Tavern, so I have to put a shameless plug in there. There's probably some seriously good eating and outstanding beer, if I must say so myself. I use our trail system a lot. I love the outdoors. I'm a retired Virginia State Park Ranger. The fact that we are only about 9 miles from Virginia State Park is a huge asset for us. But we have a lot of trail systems right here in Clifton Forge that I love spending time in. I love this theater. I love this theater. I think this is such a great venue, and I'd love to see more things coming to this theater. I love the outdoor amphitheater. I think we've got so much potential out there. I'd like to see it utilized more, and I'd like to help with that process. Let's see. I just love our town. I absolutely love Clifton Forge. I think it is absolutely beautiful. Every day when I come down the hill, come down Jefferson Avenue to come either to the town hall or go to work or whatever, I just am in awe. When I look at that town hall with the backdrop of the mountain right now, especially with the fall foliage, it is just, I just love it here. There's nothing not to love.
As I said earlier, I'm from Clifton Forge. I've spent my whole life here. I know this town like the back of my hand. I would challenge anyone to challenge me on this. I don't think there's a single street, alley, path, trail that I haven't been on in the town of Clifton Forge. I love the entire town. I love just going back, and it kind of takes me back if I go to certain neighborhoods. I like going to different neighborhoods, and it reminds me of times where certain people you grew up with and who you knew. But obviously, you can probably tell by my physique that I like to eat, so I definitely like our eating establishments here. We've got a lot of good places to eat, but if I had to pick some particular places that I'd like to go enjoy the beauty of the town, and I challenge anybody to do this. If you drive up Pine Street, and especially at night when the town's lit up, I challenge everybody to go up Pine Street and look out over the town, see how beautiful it is. You can still see the town lit up and the stores lit up and the railway. It's really beautiful. So if you haven't done that, I challenge you to do that. But that's one of my favorite places to be. But I enjoy the parks. I'm biased to have kids, so some of my good times are kids playing at parks. So I have a lot.
My favorite place to be is 425 Castle Lake. That's my house. I like my street because my street is full of children, and it gives me the example of what Clifton Forge is about. I have a wonderful neighbor named Barbara. She watched my kids for me. That's what it's about. If they're doing anything wrong, she lets me know. She calls me. Anybody looking, she looks out for all the kids. I have neighbors across the street. They look out for all the kids. If they're doing something, they tell them to pick it up or stop that. The kids, they bounce around to each house. Everyone's welcome, give them snacks and things like that. Kids can come by me and get snacks also. And I think that's what Clifton Forge is. I think that street, maybe a little bit messy, but that's really what Clifton Forge is. It's just the people all together looking out for one another. And yes, I can afford to buy a house on any other street, but I really like that street. I see what Dale's saying, we go up Pine Street and, I got one of the houses on Pine and I look down and I see a beautiful, semi-beautiful downtown, but then right across the street, I see a burnt down house and it just makes you really sad and say that, okay, we got to really do something about Clifton. Other than that, yeah, I love the people. If we didn't have the people, I would leave this town. Thanks.
I like being at my own house too. We're on Commercial in Howard, and we can walk to the little pocket park on Roxbury. We can walk the Smith Creek Trail. We can walk to the art school. We can walk to Linden. We walk to Washington Park. We can walk pretty much anywhere in town from where we live, and we frequent all of the eating establishments as well. So we've frequented Jack Mason's and 42 Deli and Michael's. We kind of spread it around. We like to go everywhere. We don't have one favorite. We like to go somewhere different every time we go out. And the same with the parks. We try to pick something different each time so the kids aren't just going to one spot every time that we go. But yeah, my favorite place is to be at my house on the porch swing and seeing my neighbors go by, and we talk to all of our neighbors near us. And it's nice to be able to talk to your neighbors and say hi and not have to worry about who's all around. And it's a really nice spot.
Okay, when I attend events in Clifton Forge, like art receptions, theater shows, seasonal festivals, Main Street parades, and presentations, will I see you there? We'll start with Dale.
You will definitely see me there, and I'll probably have a couple with me in tow. We just experienced, one of the best weekends of the year, in my opinion, in Clifton Forge. If you didn't get to go see that, I hate that for you, because it was awesome to see all the people in town and enjoying our nice downtown and the great vendors that came in. And so yes, that's one of the ones. 4th of July was another beautiful event with the parades and all that Clifton Forge Main Street put on there. Even before I was even involved in the running for council, I came to things like that, and I enjoy all our local events.
It depends if you see me there. I mean, if I win, yes, you see me at almost everything. If I lose, I'm only gonna go to the things that involve the children. Like I said, a lot of things are kind of geared towards the elderly community, and when me and my wife don't have my children, we like to party, so, and everything around here closes around about 10, 11 o'clock. So you might see me, anything that involves children, yes, I will be there.
Yes, I try to attend all of the events in town. Before COVID started, I was face painting some of the events in town, 4th of July and stuff like that. I face painted at Fall Festival one year. I haven't been doing that since all the close quarters and germs. But yeah, we try to get the kids to most of the, outdoor events that we can get to. We might not make it to a lot of stuff at the theater, just they're very small and attention spans don't last super long sometimes. But we do try to make it to a lot of events, and we'll continue to try to make it to as many as possible. Yeah, we're asleep by 8 o'clock usually, so we can make it to most of the daytime events, at least.
I think attending the events is important, and I do like to try and make it to as many of them as possible. I hate that I missed this past weekend. I was out of town and was not able to attend, but I did watch it on Facebook and saw that it was a beautiful weekend here. And but I normally am here for the Fall Festival and usually have to work on that day. But I love to attend our parades. I think it is important for us to attend events, and I intend to absolutely continue to attend events.
Very good. Now, this is for the incumbent or non-incumbents, so Jeremy and Courtney. Now, you feel that you deserve a spot on the town council. What relevant experience, tested abilities, and credentials do you bring to the table that the current incumbents or other challengers do not possess? Why would your presence on the town council provide a better mix of talent? Do Jeremy.
Okay. Yeah, because I've pretty much lived everywhere. I lived in big cities, I lived in small cities. I lived in New York. I lived in the college town, what we want to be, at Providence, Rhode Island. I lived in small towns, Ohio. After the hurricane hit New Orleans, we had to move into a small town similar to this one. I've worked on different type of governments. I've worked on the 911 system for New York City, the public safety department for New York City. I have a career in IT, which makes it important because we kind of need some technology in this town. And I would go education, but they're pretty educated too, especially Dale. But other than that, I just bring a new ideas to the town. I mean, a lot of people thinking that, that the town needs to change. And with them being on, I feel like one of their weaknesses is that they're already on town council, even they were chosen. And with that, you only get 3 outcomes. I mean, they can do a better job, which we think they can. They could do a worse job, which we don't want them to do, or they could stay the same. And we all agree it needs to change. So I think the percentages, you only have a 1 in 3 chance that they would do something favorable for you. With me, it's 50-50. I can do a good job or a bad job. So I like it. I like my odds putting me on town council. Thanks.
I've worked various types of jobs. I've been a social worker. I've done retail. I've done food service. I've worked in theaters. I've done a lot of different types of work. But mainly I think that my qualification is that I'm able to be a self-starter. I worked the gig economy in Los Angeles. At one point I had 6 regular jobs while I was doing, theater and improv and sketch, and I was, working TV and film occasionally. I'm able to see a problem and try to create the solution, and I budget my time and I make sure that it happens. Like, I'm working with the Parks and Trails Committee. I'm doing a lot of work for the Parks and Trails Committee, a lot of time and energy. I handle emails all day long. I handle phone calls all day long. It might not show that there's a lot of progress, day to day, but we are making progress on projects in town. I've also been an election worker. I know how a lot of the local government stuff works, but I also think I would bring a fresh perspective to it. So not necessarily, I don't want to talk down on any other candidates. That's not something that I would ever want to do. I think that no matter how anyone votes this election, we have great options. And I think that I just happen to be a good option as well. So I hope that people vote for me, but even if they don't, I think that there's going to be a good choice made this November.